Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum dear students. I am Mr. Kadim Khan and I am a lecturer in the Institute of Computing, Kuwait University of Science and Technology. Today we will take lecture number 19 of the subject of visual programming, in which we are going to discuss rich textbox and must textbox in the Visual C#.NET. Dear student, these two are graphical user interface controls which are used to develop the visual application. So here in this lecture we will discuss these controls with our examples. This is the discussion agenda. It contains the topics of, first of all, blocking the text box for the certain keys. Here it is a little bit different topics in which we will discuss how you can block the text box which will accept only a particular certain keys. Next is rest text box control in Visual C#.NET. Next one topic is mask text box control, and at the end we will provide you some useful programming example about these controls. Blocking the text box for the certain keys. So here we will demonstrate how the computer will block the particular certain keys, where the text box will not accept these keys. Here the e.ended is equal to true code will be used. This means that when the e.ended is equal to true, that means that the particulars handled become true. Then the blocks, the particular buttons will be blocked here. So in the next lines, that whether the keys pressing the letters for the alphabets, particular alphabets, are either the lower or uppercase, or if it is then the handle setting is reversed. So that means that when this becomes true, the particular keys will be blocked, and if it is false, then the particular keys will be allowed. So this allows the keys pressed to be pressed in the text box to be displayed. If this is true, then the particular text box will be displayed and the keys will be displayed in that particular text box. Otherwise, these keys will not be displayed in that particular text box. So if it fails the test, the block on this key press remains. Means that if these particular keys are pressed, then it means that these buttons will be allowed. Otherwise, the other buttons will be not allowed to be displayed in the text box. Now, dear students, this will be implemented by the key press event of the text box. To implement the key press event, you need to right click on this particular text box, go to the property dialogs. There you will search the key press, double click on that particular event, and then this body of the event will be implemented. Now, private void text box 1 underscore key press. Object sender key press events argse. There are two different parameters. In fact, this is the function textbox 1 underscore key press is the function here, which takes two different parameters. First one is the object parameter sender, which defines that from where this event is raised, from which particular controls is responsible for raising the events. And key press event argse represents that which particular key is pressed here. E is a parameter which represents particular key. Now in the body, if e.key character is greater than or equal to 65 and e.key character is less than or equal to 123, then e.ended is equal to true. So that means that when the key character is from 65 to 123, then e.ended is equal to true. That means that for these number of ASCII keys, don't allow the computer to display the particular keys in the text box, and while for the others this will be allowed. So you know that press don't enter A to Z and for capital A to Z, and otherwise another all the key will be displayed here. So that means that if your keys are ASCII keys starting from 65 and its limit is 123, then means that for all these keys block the text box, and for the rest of the other keys the text box will be able to display other keystrokes. Similarly, for another text box, you need to right click on this particular text box, go to the property dialogs, and then in the property dialog select the events, then the key press events will be selected, and double click on that key press event, then this function will be implemented by the Visual Studio automatically. So here it is another key press event for the second text box. Now, there are two parameters in this events, object sender key press event ARGSE. So, sender is the object which represents the controls from where the event is raised, or the controls which is responsible for raising the events, and key press event ARGSE means E is the object which represents which key is pressed here. So if E dot key character is greater than 48 and E dot key character is less than or equal to 57, now dear student, you know that the ASCII values from 0 to 9 is from 48 to 57 inclusively. So that means that all other keys will be allowed while these certain keys will not be allowed. Then E dot ender is equal to true. That means that then E dot ender true means that for these block the keys and for the rest allow the keys. So here you can type ABC up to small z, and then from the capital ABC to capital Z's. So this was the program. You have to implement it by your own. The next control is rich text box control in Visual C Sharp.net. Dear students, unlike the text box control, rich text box control is used to load the RTF files. So RTX are special types of files which represent rich text format files. That means that it contains every types of text and other objects. For example, it contains the including paragraphs, including numbers, including lines, including images, including tables, including lists, etc. So all these objects will be loaded into rich text box. Now this is the example of the rich text box. For example, if we have one buttons and this is the rich text box, when I will click on these buttons, then the rich text box will be able to display a particular RTF files. For this purpose, you need to drag drop one button control and one rich text box controls, and then double click on this rich text box to create the event of that button one underscore click object sender and event ARGSE. This is the event which will be created. Then the rich text box which is our rich text box here, we will use the load file function of this rich text box. So rich text box one dot load files, and here we will provide the path of the file which will be loaded into this rich text box. So here is at the rate, then string starts E is the dry name, and colon slash files2.rtf. Files2.rtf will be displayed here. Here, the at the rate means that we will pass here just single slash. If you will pass here double slash, then at the rate is not important. Now, dear students, we will implement this code in our Visual Studio example. For this purpose, click on the escape buttons of the slides, then launch the Visual Studio. This is the Visual Studio which I have already created a visual applications here. So from the toolbox, drag drop one buttons control and one rich text box control. This is the rich text box control. I will drag drop into my form and then go to the toolbox again, and also drag drop one buttons control. So here is the one button control. This is one rich text box control. You can resize the rich text box according to your choice. So for example, if I will resize the form, then I can also resize the rich text box here. This is the rich text box which I have resized. Now in buttons, I will go to the property dialogs of this button one, then type here that load RTF file. RTF file will be loaded here, and this is the label which I have changed here. Now double click on this buttons to create the button one underscore click event. So when I have double clicked here, you can see that the event is automatically created, private void button one underscore click object sender comma event argse. So this is the button one underscore function which represents the particular event. It is the private event. It means that it is accessible only in this class. It is the void function because it doesn't return anything, and this is the name of the event button one underscore click. Object is the parameters which represents that from which objects the event is raised here. The object here is button one, and sender is the parameter of the object class. Event argse, it is a class which represents the e, which means that from which keyboard this events are, which key is responsible to create this event. Now here I will pass the file name here. So first of all, I need to create the register box. Uh, uh, that is here I will here I will create a particular function here which will be responsible to load this particular uh, uh, file into the register box. So dot load file. This is the load file function which I will use here. So I need to specify the path here of that particular file. So my file is here in the E directory, or in E or in F. There is in the E directory. This is file 2. File 2 is the name of the file. Similarly, in the F directory, there is also another file. So, for example, these are multiple files here. So, in the E directory, I have file 2. So, file 2 will be displayed here. In the file 2, there are multiple contents, including the tables and the images and the text, multiple types of text here. So here I am first of all opening these files to check that what is the contents of the files. You can see that there is the different contents of these files, one image and another multiples characters here. So in the program I will type here that this file is in the E directory. The file name is file 2.rtf. Now my code is complete here. Just run the program. After running the program, you need to click on the buttons to load the files into the regex box. So the program is running, and you can see that it is properly debugged here. So meanwhile, the Visual Studio will displays the output here. So now the output is appearing here. This is the output. Just click on this load file buttons. When you will click on this load file buttons, you can see that this file has been loaded into our rich text box. This is the difference between common text box and the rich text box. So you can see that in the rich text box, the files with the different contents, including the tables and the list and the images, are displayed here. So this was the rich text box. You must have to implement all this example. Next one is the mask text box control. In the mask text box, the user is allowed to enter different inputs, different mask inputs, including such as phone numbers, short date, time, zip code, and similarly, for example, the date, similarly, different others inputs. So we need to define the mask property here, and it is used to define the different types of masks here. The mask including characters. Characters is in fact the certain different characters, including uppercase characters, lowercase, or normal text property characters. Similarly, scroll bar is used to define the vertical or horizontal or both vertical and horizontal scroll bars of the mask text box. And when we have the multiple properties true, then the scroll bars will appear. Similarly, the password characters, it is used to define the password characters. So the user is able to define any sort of the characters here. Now, here there is different examples of the mask text box. For example, this is the uh, uh, password text box control. This is multi-line text box controls, and similarly, this is uppercase only text box control. This is another mask text box controls. So you can see here, this is a particular phone number. So first of all, we have a particular dial code, then we have the phone number. So all these informations can be displayed in the mask text box. And when the button is clicked, then all these information will be displayed on the message box here. Now, this is the code here behind the button one display data underscore click. These buttons will be in fact clicked when this event will be raised here. So when this button is clicked, then the particular event is raised here. Private void btn display data underscore click object sender comma event argse. Now this is the body of the event. String text data is equal to empty strings. Here we have defined in empty strings. Then we will concatenate another strings with this empty string. So text box data plus is equal to, this is the plus equal concatenation. That means that this text will be concatenated with the empty string, and back well it will be assigned to the text box data. So text box data plus is equal to string dot format multi-line colon and zero parameters. That means that this will be stored here in this parameters. Slash n is for the new lines. So multi-line is in fact a strings, and another string will be replaced here for this parameters. So txt multiline.txt is the particular text box where this will be stored here and concatenated with this string. Then again text box one dot data plus is equal to string dot format uh, and password is equal to txt password dot to string. So from the password text box, this strings will be in fact placed here on the zero parameters, and it will be concatenated with the previous strings. Similarly, text box data plus is equal to string dot format and uppercase txt uppercase dot text. This string will be in fact placed here and will be concatenated with the another strings. And similarly, another string will be concatenated from the txt mask text box dot text, and it will be in fact placed here. Then message box dot show text box data comma here is the data in your text box. So all the data that is the string variable will be passed into message box dot show, and this will define the title of the message box. Here is the data in your text box. So here is the data in your text box. This is the title, and all the data will be displayed here. So the mask text box is used to in fact uh, type different types of data into the mask text box. Unlike the text box and the rich text box, which takes on the particular simple data, while the mask text box is used to take the data in the for certain format. Now, dear students, we will in fact implement the must text box for another example. So, for this purpose, press the escape key. When I will press the escape key, then click on the previous example that we have completed here. You can resize this uh, rest text box. Now, go to the toolbox, and here drag drop the mask text box control. So the mask text box is here. Just drag drop it here. You can see this is exactly like a simple text box. So for example, here I will drag drop a label here. So this is the label. So for example, here I will define the label property that enter your password. Your password. So in this uh, text box, I will type the password. But this is not a simple text box, it is the must text box. So go to the property, select this must text box, click on the property, and then uh, here, for example, this is the password character. Password character, you can type any password character. For example, my password will be in the format of the asterisk. So you need to define the asterisk here. Just type asterisk here, and also I want to change the font property of this must text box. For example, the font will be 11. So and just run the examples here. So after running the example, you can type your password here. You can see that this is not an ordinary text, it is the password character. So here you need to set the property of this must text box. For example, if you want uh, to type the password, so you need to define here the password character. Similarly, I will take another examples here of the must text box. For example, if I want to type the time here, so for example, I will drag drop another label and a must text box. So this is a label and this is the must text box. Now go to the property dialogs, enter the uh, time, enter the time. So means that here I will type the time here. So for this purpose, click on this must text box, go to the must property of this text box. For example, here is the must property, click this, and for example here you can type, for example, European time or US time. For example, European time is of 24 hours while US time is of 12 hours. So just click here and click on OK. So now run the project. So in the upper text box, I will type the password. While here, I can only type the time. For example, 12 and 34 seconds, 12 hours 34 seconds. You can see that this represents the time. Here automatically colon is inserted by the project because first two digits represents the hours while the next two digits represents the minutes. So you can see that if I want to type here more, the system will not allow me to type these seconds, for example, because according to the format, there is only hours and minutes. So this is the example of the must text box. This was the example of the must text box. Dear student, this is the end of the class. So if you want to study more about these topics, you can study these two important books here. That is Reference Pro C# 5.0 and the .NET 4.5 frameworks, experts voice in the .NET 6th edition, Kindle edition. This is very expert books and very important books. You can study this book for increasing your knowledge. Another one is Learn C# Fast, the ultimate course books beginning to advance. This is also very much important books. It will enable you to learn the C# very fastly, and you can also develop high quality projects here. And if you have certain questions, you can ask these questions through the email, that is m.kadim@kust.edu.pk. I will answer your question as soon as I will get them. Thank you very much.